All right, so the big question today is how much money is CD Projekt RED willing to put into Cyberpunk's post-launch support? Well, guess what? We have a brand new update about that one. We're going to be diving into all the details here in just a moment. Plus, we're going to be talking about a key feature in Cyberpunk, which is likely going to be improved, and that is street cred. We're going to talk about that in just a moment as well, and a bunch of other things. But first of all, my God, Cyberpunk 2077 is by far one of the most expensive games ever made in history. Between development costs and, of course, marketing, the numbers are absolutely staggering. So can CD Projekt RED keep the green going to the developers? Also, we have some other news that, yeah, it seems like some people are worried that the attention is being drawn away from Cyberpunk and onto the Witcher franchise. So what we have to do is look at the numbers. What is happening with the money? So check this out right here. It says CD Projekt RED spent 288.6 million rubles, I believe it is, on upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 expansion. So what does this translate into dollars? It's actually pretty significant. Check it out right here. Let's zoom this in for you all. It says, in an earnings report, CD Projekt RED's balance sheets show that the company has spent $19 million on Cyberpunk's ongoing development, including work on updates and patches, and of course, the new expansion. That's a pretty hefty amount of money, of course, considering if we look to the past, how much development costs went into games like, of course, The Witcher 3, which they revealed that it cost $82 million spent on development costs alone. We're not talking about marketing whatsoever. So, $20 million going to the development costs for the expansion and, of course, upcoming updates to the game is actually pretty significant in my mind, and it shows me they are on the right track and they are actually really thinking about Cyberpunk's future. But a lot of you guys are probably wondering, well, we know how much the development cost was for The Witcher. Robbie, tell me, how much did it cost to develop Cyberpunk 2077 between development costs and marketing? Check this out right here. So it says, totaling all Cyberpunk related costs together, the whole project cost approximately, 1.2 billion Polish. If you'd prefer that in local currency, that's about $330 million USD, adjusted for 2020 inflation. That's about $121 million for development costs, plus about $209 million for marketing costs. I wonder how much of that went towards getting Keanu Reeves on stage at E3. Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's too bad they didn't put more money into the development side of things. They really went all in on the marketing, of course, and I just crossed my fingers that they have learned from that mistake, of course. But hey, marketing is a big part of the game for sure. But yeah, it goes to show that $20 million is a significant amount, in my opinion, that is going towards the development of the expansion and further updates to the game. Now, of course, update 1.5 was a significant change and update to the game. They're more focused wholeheartedly on the expansion. But this is, in my opinion, good news. Yeah, the expansion has been delayed to 2023. And of course, I wish we had gotten expansion a year after Cyberpunk. You guys know the story about how that launch went. But check this out right here. It says, The Witcher 3 is the bedrock of CD Projekt RED's financials one last time. The Polish firm records a modest rise in revenue in the last full quarter before Cyberpunk 2077. And I'm bringing this up because this is very significant to how CD Projekt RED will be thinking with Cyberpunk in the future. I'll explain. Check this out. It says CD Projekt RED reported a modest rise in revenue for the third calendar quarter, the final quarter before the launch of its highly anticipated RPG, Cyberpunk 2077. So how much of an increase are we talking about? Of course, it says this: the single most important game in CD Projekt RED's stable was The Witcher 3 at that time, and its expansion, which continues to support the companies financially across multiple platforms 5 years after its release. The key thing there is that the stable was The Witcher 3 and its expansions, which I think is extremely important. I think they're going to go after developing this expansion or expansions and post-launch support for Cyberpunk 2077. They go on to say, of course, that it was like a 13% increase, which is pretty wild considering that at that time in the portfolio for CD Projekt RED, the main game for them was pretty much The Witcher 3. So that for that to suddenly happen, I think told them that, hey, we need to continue making games like this. If it has this type of staying power to actually increase our revenue 13%, and they want to do that, I assume, of course, for Cyberpunk. But yeah, we had some more comments here from Adam Kinski, CEO of CD Projekt. He goes on to say this: with regard to our other plans, the number of developers working on new projects is growing steadily. This number includes the developers currently working on a new game set in the Witcher universe, which we recently confirmed. So yeah, they're also developing and planning right now. I'm sure it's in conceptual stages, and they're learning Unreal Engine 5 over there. But yeah, they are going to be going pretty much all in eventually on The Witcher 4. That's going to take some time, though. I would say give that a year before they really go all in. Now, we need to talk about one key feature in Cyberpunk that we kind of haven't talked about too much on the channel, and that is, of course, street cred. This topic is really interesting. Check it out right here. It says, street cred is meaningless. By far, one of the most discussed things right now. It says, I wish I had an actual effect on the game. Like, if my street cred is 40 to 50, meaning I'm famously badass, it would be nice to see something like low-level thugs choosing not to fight you, or something like, whoa, hey, V is cool, go on in. Instead, all it does is gatekeep certain articles of clothing or mods weak. So here's the thing with street cred, it actually does influence some things that do happen in the world. They're just not as, in your face about it in Cyberpunk 2077, which, CD Projekt RED has actually admitted that it's a problem, and it seems like they are interested in fixing this issue where you don't know exactly how you're influencing the world. It's going to be projected better in the future, it seems. So I would assume that's going to be improved with the expansion, this experience. So that could be really good news. Now, we have this. Commando Face says, in the Bill Jablaski quest, if your street cred is high enough, the cop will say something like, holy crap, that's V, we'll never be able to take this guy. So yeah, you can see how there is actually some things that can happen, of course, related to your street cred. Then we have this one from Master Creed 25, who says, street cred often does help you. There's a few quests where it helps you, but the game never tells you. That one where you help the vendor who's getting his bike robbed by the two kids, for example, they'll recognize you as V and instantly scatter. That is so cool. So yeah, some influence there from street cred. I just wish this sort of thing was more projected and letting you know that was kind of happening. I'm curious to see, I got to ask you guys, how would you project that you are influencing the world without it being so like blatant and obvious? Now, some people actually want this system to remain the same and not be so obvious and in your face, but I wouldn't want it to be like a text message telling you that, I don't know, you've done something, but maybe that would be cool. Who knows? Maybe that's something you guys would like to see. Now we have Lord, how do you say this name? Lord Yaviar, who says this: there are actually a lot of quests where having higher street cred unlocks alternate choices. They don't really show it to you, so it's easy to miss if you don't know how the mission usually goes. For instance, when trying to find Anna Hamel, the Ripper will give her you without a bribe if your cred is high enough. Another one is when trying to locate Evelyn, and you can call Wakako. I think this is all like the text is messed up about finding the PT. She will give it to you if your cred is high enough. Otherwise, she will give you the runarounds and you have to track it down yourself. I think we get the gist. As a mechanic, I like it, but I think it was underutilized. We need more sync instances, and they need to be made more obvious to the player. So a lot of people did agree that it does need to be more obvious, projected better with what's happening with street cred. And I have to say, yeah, I do agree with that as well. All right, so now it's time to go over your top comments. Remember to leave a comment down below for a chance for it to end up in a future video. So let's do this. This was my most recent video right here. It says CD Projekt RED is apparently moving on from this big feature, all new updates. And yeah, it seems like they aren't going to be doing multiplayer, like a big multiplayer mode, at least right now or at all, because Recently, we had some comments from, of course, CD Projekt RED in the earnings call, and any multiplayer is going into Unreal Engine 5 games, not Red Engine 2, which of course is Cyberpunk. So I would not expect multiplayer whatsoever in Cyberpunk 2077. That's just my assessment of that. Now we have George, who says this right here. I'm a simple man. I just want arcade games to work, food stands to be functional, Ripper Doc animations from the start of the game added everywhere, car customization, glowing clothes, and an implant that lets you block bullets with a katana. That last one, dude, that would be really, really cool. Man, just like a slow-mo where you can actually cut a bullet in half. I'm just saying, I think that would be cool. Then we have Rex, who says this right here. The expansion of being a different character is a bit odd to me. Am I alone? I mean, we forged an entire character from scratch. V is us, right? Granted, to be a bit more linear scale, as making a billion different scenarios would be asking too much, but nonetheless, V is still us, unique to each. So what could this new character be? A new character? LOL, not saying that's a bad idea, but it seems a bit weird. Unless this expansion plans to be extremely huge, I just don't see that. So likely we're playing an already made character, and likely from the story we've seen thus far, I don't think that'd be too much of a stretch to expect. Or they do a before scenario and it's an accomplice of Johnny's. Head scratches, I must say. So you mentioned that, will this be a big expansion? It should be, given their history with, The Witcher and things like that. I would expect this to be an absolutely massive, massive expansion. A new character, I have no real comments about that right now. We just know it's going to be a brand new story that doesn't tell us anything specifically about V or not. So that's going to be up to CD Projekt RED. But yeah, it would be cool to continue V's story. But it seems like his story is over, but maybe they'll pick like an ending and do something with it. And that'll be considered canon. They could actually do something like that and continue his story. We'll have to wait. Now we have Bro Mopar, who says this. Honestly, I'm really happy the multiplayer for Cyberpunk single player has been kicked to the curb. I'm tired of multiplayer modes being shoehorned into games that aren't made for them. If we get MP Cyberpunk, then it makes a lot more sense to me for it to be a complete standalone experience. World of Night City, anyone? Yeah, I agree with you on that one 100%. And perhaps that's where, Molasses Flood, I can't remember, Flood and Molasses comes in to the picture. I'm a little under the weather, by the way. But anyway, my point being is that, yeah, perhaps we will be seeing something from that studio that CD Projekt RED did acquire, and we will be actually seeing multiplayer for Cyberpunk with that. And that would be an entirely new game experience, of course, built in Unreal Engine. So that is a possibility. But of course, again, that could also be The Witcher that they're developing over there. A experience in The Witcher that could be co-op. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. All right, Nathan Stevens says this. I really hope CD Projekt RED doesn't go down the multiplayer route like Rockstar. I hope they keep exclusively focusing on single player. Yes, dude, I agree wholeheartedly. People are dying for more single player story. And, even like games like Skyrim to this day are selling so well. So yeah, keep going with single player. That's what I say. But anyway, thank you all so much for being patient with me today. I am a little under the weather. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video nonetheless. I wanted to get something out to you all. The struggle is real. But thank you all so much for love and support. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.